Hello there and welcome. This is Keith Barrett, an intuitive evolutionary astrologer. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the energies of the full moon in Scorpio. And so we just came out of the eclipse cycle in the axis of Aries and Libra. We're still under that energetic influence, which is pretty intense. And so Scorpio coming right after that is not going to relax on the intensity, unfortunately. So let me flip over to the chart and I'll take a look at the energies here with this full moon in Scorpio. So here's the chart for this full moon in Scorpio, which is coming up April 23rd at 4:48 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And so before I get into it, I do apologize for this being a little bit delayed in getting up and uploaded to YouTube. I recorded this yesterday and last night was doing some work on my computer and I accidentally deleted it. So I need to redo it again today. So here's a look at the chart here for this full moon. Here's the full moon opposing the sun. And so we have a square to its modern ruler, to Scorpio's modern ruler, Pluto in Aquarius. So the energy here of Scorpio is always one for me of metamorphosis, transformation, really getting underneath things and understanding the nature of existence, nature of our own selves, and how we are acting and behaving, and some of the unconscious patterns can be part of Scorpio energy. And so off the heels of this eclipse cycle where we had Aries and Libra, which is all about me, Aries energy, instinctual, the things that I feel that I need to do for myself, the directions I feel I need to take at this period of time, and how does that come out in relationship, Libra, to other people. So that was the intensity we've been feeling, really like the base of that intention, the base of that intensity was our own direction and relationships around us, or new relationships, or how we are relating to other people. There was much more to the eclipse energy, and we're still under the influence of that. I feel just from a collective standpoint, it was a large influx of energy onto the planet, which is helping to raise consciousness. So that could have looked like a lot has changed for you over the last couple weeks, or it could look very like nothing has really changed, but internally there's a lot going on where things in your reality, things that you've normally done, you've changed, or you were unable to keep up with, or you had to sleep more, or your routine changed, things like that. So more of a energy coming into your body where your body is still trying to ground it and assimilate it. So there's not really a cognitive understanding of what's going on. So now we move to this full moon in Scorpio, and this is where if things had bubbled to the surface, or let me just say it this way, things that have had to bubble to the surface at this period of time for you probably have done so, or are just sitting there underneath the surface. So Scorpio comes in, this full moon in Scorpio, the symbolism here is it's got to come out. So Scorpio is one of intuition is always a part of Scorpio, but intuition is just universal. We all have an intuitive faculty, but in astrology, when you look at Scorpio, just the symbolism of that is penetrating underneath the surface from an energetic standpoint. So I talk to people and I'm like, just being in somebody's presence and you feel like something is off is an expression of Scorpio energy. The other thing with Scorpio is with its modern ruler, Pluto, even if you look at Pluto in your chart, you look by house, sign, and aspects, there could be an energy there of things like lower frequency expressions of fear, obsession, power dynamics. Feeling things, but not really being able to articulate them, so not quite sure how to navigate stuff. And so I feel a lot of those energies could be coming to the surface to be seen at this period of time. So with the square to this full moon to Pluto, Pluto in Aquarius is one that is tied to individuation. In the sign of Aquarius, from a collective standpoint, it is going to shake things up. Anything that is not authentic is going to be exposed. So you can think of that globally, but just taking it down to an individual level, where are you compromising? Where are you being held back because of fear? What is holding you back because of comfort and security? That's the other thing when I talk about Scorpio and the opposite sign of Taurus is they're fixed signs. And so sometimes safety and security wins out over changes that need to be made or things that need to be seen and processed. So with the square pattern, squares are typically the underlying energy is tension. And this aspect is tension in terms of your thought patterns, what you believe. And so the reason for the tension is you have to keep moving forward in evolution. And with the tension there, the tension says, hey, this can't stay the way that it is anymore. We need to keep moving forward. And so in the sign of Aquarius, individuation, where are you not acting authentically? Where do you feel like things are holding you back? That could be anything. That could be relationships. That could be jobs. That could be belief systems that have been conditioned over time that you've been living according to that no longer serve you at this period of time. And so the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And so I look to Mars to say, okay, what's Mars telling us about this energy? And so I'll flip to the aspects to Mars. And the first thing I noticed is that Mars, aside from Mars being in Pisces and coming up to a conjunction with Neptune, is Mars is separating from Saturn. But aspect-wise, it's in a septile aspect to this Pluto, and it's in a supportive aspect to Jupiter, which is blending energies with Uranus. And Uranus is the ruler, the modern ruler of Aquarius. And so what does all of this mean? So for me, traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. Mars also is the ruler of Aries. So we just were part of this. We just experienced this Aries Libra eclipse cycle. So Mars is important in this full moon energy, and Mars is in the sign of Pisces. It's coming up to a conjunction with Neptune. It's blending energies with Neptune. Neptune is the ethereal, it's universal consciousness, it's creativity, it could be illusions, it could be escapism. So this energy in a septile to Pluto for me is releasing the illusion. It's part of what I'm getting here. But it's also tapping into the spiritual side, but more so the intuitive side, more so making sure that you are in alignment at this period of time. So some of the lower frequency things that I spoke about with Scorpio, where it could be fear, it could be abandonment, it could be power dynamics, it could be being stuck in situations. This energy is one of, I like to look at a septile, which is considered a minor aspect in astrology, but I like to look at it because for me, it's fated. It's something that is just outside the bounds of the mind. And so for me here, you could experience with this energy these epiphanies or these awarenesses which come to the surface at this period of time. And so when I did this recording yesterday, what came to me, which was kind of weird, which is coming up for me again now, is peeling off a scab. And so normally you don't want to peel off a scab. The scab is in place and it's there to protect the injury, and then it will naturally fall off. But what I was getting with this scab and the image that I'm getting is like the scab has been there too long. It's almost like something is holding it in place too long, and it's not allowing the fresh air to get in to allow the real healing to take place. So that's the same thing that I'm getting here is there's this breath of fresh air kind of energy, which depending on your situation, it could be a little jarring to the nervous system, but ultimately underneath, it's helping with healing. It's helping with this new direction. It's helping with this new reality that's being formed for you at this period of time. The other thing with this septile pattern to Uranus conjunct Jupiter is just yesterday they were exactly conjunct, Jupiter and Uranus. And so they are still blending energies. They're within a degree of each other in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus is the sign opposite of Scorpio, and it's the one of yourself. How do you value yourself? How do you make money? How do you support yourself? It's survival of the species, so it's related to sexual energy. And so with Jupiter and Uranus, Jupiter is the expander. Uranus is individuation, which is the ruler of Aquarius, which is where Pluto is. So this is kind of where I'm getting, there could be an unsettling feeling to this energy. Because Jupiter, although Jupiter is considered in astrology circles as a benefic, it's tied to luck, abundance, expansion. Expansion is not always easy. Expansion takes you from one reality and it moves you out of it so that you can experience more. So going back to what I was saying with Scorpio and Taurus being fixed signs, and this being a full moon in Scorpio, anything that you've been attached to, Uranus is going to blow it up and Jupiter is going to expand and say, no, you need to expand the space that you occupy. And so, although you may experience it as exactly that, luck, abundance, something comes out of the blue, Scorpio energy is I'm going to merge with something that's supporting me at this period of time, which is going to really help with my foundation. This can also be if there's anything unconscious within you that comes to the surface where the scab is pulled off now and it needs to let some air in for some healing. That could be difficult stuff that comes to the surface that's been repressed, that comes up and you're like, oh, now it's in my face and I need to deal with it. That could be challenging, but this septile and this sextile is it's ultimately helping you to move forward. That whatever was there was holding you back. So it needs to be shown. It needs to come to light. The other couple things here that popped out to me is this separating of Mars away from Saturn. And so Saturn, one of the many indications of Saturn is restriction. And so when Mars was conjunct Saturn or close to Saturn, you could have felt, Mars wants to go. Mars wants to take action. Mars wants to make things happen. When it's combined with Saturn, it could be Saturn is like, hold on, it's not quite time yet. You need to wait a bit. And so when I saw this separating now of Mars, which is moving closer to Neptune and moving away from Saturn, now is the time Saturn's releasing and saying, okay, now you have the right amount of awareness. The conditions are right. So now you can move forward. The other aspect that came out here is an opposition to Black Moon Lilith in Virgo. And the energy I'm getting there is similar to the full moon where something becomes full and visible, where you can look at an opposition in astrology and say it's two opposing forces. It's like I have one opinion and somebody across the room has another opinion, and we're going to argue our perspectives. I don't get this energy here. I get this more of the Pisces Virgo axis of Pisces can be the intuitive, the dreamy, the tapping into other dimensions. The Virgo side is like, that's all great, but I need to logically understand it and I need to ground it somehow in this reality. So what I get here is this Scorpio full moon and this aspect between the traditional ruler Mars and Black Moon Lilith is being able to understand, to logically figure it out. Where I was talking in the beginning about this eclipse cycle, bringing energy onto the planet, being like a portal of energy, and you may not even understand what's going on. Your body, your physiology is still trying to integrate it. And so here with this full moon, we could have that epiphany, or we could have those mental awarenesses where we can say, okay, I've got it between my ears mentally, and I understand what tangible actions or adjustments that I need to make at this period of time. So that's what I have here for the chart. So I'm going to jump over now to the Sabian symbol for this 4 to 5 degree mark of Scorpio, where this full moon is taking place. So the symbol for this 4 to 5 degree mark is a massive rocky shoreline. So looking at this image, it's pretty elementary, the image itself. But the first thing that came to me is when I look at that image, or I feel into an image of rocks being on a shoreline and the waves and water moving in and crashing onto the rock, I think of the rock being steady. I think of the rock just being solid and in place as this water is coming in. And so Scorpio is a water sign. And so this, for me, feels like being centered, which is part of what I talked about in the chart reading, is being able to stay grounded and centered in the midst of a storm, being solid in what you are, being solid in how you need to express yourself, being able to acknowledge what you're feeling and being able to authentically express that to those around you. And then James Burgess goes into here the stabilizing influence of institutions. So he talks a little bit about the difference here, or not really the difference, but the safety and security that comes with these structures and consensus reality. So what I mean by that is it could be a commitment to a relationship. It could be a company that you work for. It could be a group or an organization. It's just the structures or organizations or containers that get created for society to operate safely and effectively. And so what he talks about here is that's great because we do need a level of safety and security to be effective and be the best versions of ourselves. But at some point, when we individuate Aquarius, Uranus, Aquarius, Pluto, and Aquarius, with this aspect to this full moon, the more we individuate and the more we really become aligned with who we are, those structures no longer serve us anymore. So we could be in a place where we start to feel that we compromise a little bit of ourselves because of wanting to fit in, because part of us wants to be part of something bigger. We need to eat, so we work at a company and we work for a job, or we get comfortable in a relationship. And so the comfort of the relationship becomes the thing. And so what I get here with what James is talking about and what it connected for me is this: where are you compromising parts of yourself because of the structure that you're a part of? And you name the structure. So part of this energy can be things coming to the surface in terms of where you're compromising yourself. I don't really agree with this group or this organization, or maybe bits and pieces of it, or the way that this job handles things. It's not really a good fit for who I am. There's certain things that don't match. Or this relationship, there's certain things here that I've allowed to go on for a good period of time because there was a known, there was safety, there was security, or maybe there's an emotional attachment, or they're just family. And so there's a belief system that because they're family, I need to do certain things or be there or do certain things. And so this period of time could be one where some of those things come to the surface and say, you really need to stand up for yourself and express your authenticity. So it may be little things it may be little things, it may be big things. Maybe there's, just using an example of a job, and you have a pretty rigid schedule and it's not really working for your life. It's not helping other areas of your life. And so you're able to, instead of that being an issue for you, you're able to say, yeah, this really doesn't work for me. And I'm going to express that. And I'm going to request that we work on that here and make an adjustment. Or maybe if the container is not open to that, then you know that you need to look elsewhere and you need to be open to other opportunities. And so that's a big thing here with this energy too, is I almost get this from the other perspective of the water hitting the shoreline, and the water is going to find a way. The water is going to hit the rock, but then it's going to move around the rock and it's going to find the openings to be able to make sure that that water continues to flow. So the same thing with the Scorpio energy is you no longer can hit up against that rock. You actually have to bypass, you have to be authentic to yourself, not bypass. You actually have to step into more of yourself and go down the path where your energy flows freely. There are no more restrictions, or there are no bouncing up against things that no longer serve you, which could be thought forms, could be all of the things that I've already discussed. And so you'll look at this image and I'm sure you'll get your own hit on what it means in your life. But those are the two things that I see here with the Sabian symbol. So as always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. Hopefully this time has been helpful for you. Hopefully these messages have been helpful for you. And I will see you again in another episode. Take care.